So ever since I heard about the idea or the concept of targeted individuals and gang stalking, I was fascinated by it. I think it was a Vice documentary that exposed me to it for the first time. If you go to YouTube and search for gang stalking documentary, you find all kinds of content of people explaining what it is. What is it? In case you don't know, it is a group of people who believe they are being stalked by some shady agency, okay? And there's a spectrum, so there are some people who think, or for them it is just people, let's say, for example, coming into their home while they are not there, and then moving objects around just to confuse them, to make them scared, to screw with their life, basically, to drive them insane. That's one. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who literally hear voices in their head and they believe that a shady agency puts these voices into their head using technology. And the videos that I did about this in the past obviously were received rather badly. It's amongst the most downvoted videos that I've ever done, and I assume this will be one of them as well. But now something interesting has happened, okay? Because in the past, obviously, I watched documentaries, I read the comments under my videos, which all pointed into one direction, okay? And that is, there is no shady agency that traces people down. If you look at any of the evidence, it all just falls apart, it crumbles, whether people are like, oh, look at MK Ultra, or look at this device that people implant in your brain, and then suddenly you can receive messages like, yeah, and then you look into it and it's actually like a little chip that's in your brain, and they use it for Parkinson's, right, to help people control their emotion with Parkinson's and stuff. So whenever you look at the evidence, I remember there was one lady commenting, and I can't find it now amongst these thousands of comments, but there was this one lady and she was like, just check my channel, I have thousands of hours of evidence on my channel where you can see how I'm being stalked and harassed. So you go to the channel, you check it out, and literally all she does is like she walks out to people on her street, random people, clearly random people, and harasses them. Like she films through a window, there's a guy in his car right outside her street. And she's like, you see, he's one of them. So she goes out, knocks on the window aggressively, and he's just in there reading a newspaper and eating a sandwich. He's clearly having his lunch break or something. And she knocks on the window, and he's like, what? Like, he doesn't even know what's going on. Like, he's shocked. And then the lady completely loses her mind. Like, you're one of them. And he's just like, bro, I don't know. And then he leaves. And it's just super cringy, super awkward, and ultimately all of it really boils down, I would say 98% of it. I'm sure there are cases where people are actually being stalked by their community or whatever. I'm sure in like very, very few exceptional cases that does exist, but 98% of the cases, it is just a form of mental illness. And again, it's a spectrum. Not everyone who suffers from this is like necessarily paranoid schizophrenic, but there is a big spectrum, and all of it pretty much falls down into that category of being a mental illness. However, like I said, in the past, I read comments, I watched the documentaries, I tried to get an idea, I looked at all the evidence that you guys share with me, but now it has changed a bit, because I was exposed to it myself, okay, and I know a lot of people are very hopeful now and thinking, you see, now they're stalking you. No, nobody stalks me, but I want to tell you guys a story that happened to one of my best friends here where I live. And he's been living with his girlfriend for, 10 years or something. He's my age, so he's in his late 30s. His girlfriend was rather young, right? She was like mid-20s or something like that. Very quiet girl, very nice girl. I met her many times, right? And they were living together for the longest time. I didn't see him or her for several months. And just the other week, I met with him again. And I was like, yeah, where's your girlfriend? Didn't see her for a while. And he's like, no, something happened. So he said that she started to listen to these podcasts, okay? So here in the UK, you have this kind of UK drill scene, right? Like it's a certain type of music, like a rap type of music that people are doing here in the UK, and there are a lot of podcasts that go with that, okay, where people talk about the music, they invite the artists, and there are interviews and all that. So she was really in that world, like that music was her world. She listened to all these podcasts, and he said at some point, his girlfriend came to him and said, you know what, I've been listening to this podcast, and I think everything they say in this podcast is about me, okay? It's like a subliminal message, but they're actually talking about me. And it didn't happen once, maybe, I don't know, but it happened a few times where she was like, no, you gotta listen to this, man. This is all about me. So he loving his girlfriend, he's like, okay, fine, I'll listen to it. So he listened to it. Obviously, it's not about her. It's just a podcast with like a UK drill rapper who talks about his concert and his tour and all that. And it has nothing to do with this girlfriend. So, okay, so he tried to, talk sense into her. And he's like, no, listen, that has nothing to do with you. And whenever he did that, she got very angry. She was like, no, you just don't get it. You don't understand. And it grew from there. They're chasing me. Then she started to say certain people that walked down the street. It's like, I've seen him yesterday. He walked down yesterday and he looked up at the window and he's one of them and stuff. So slowly but surely over the period of several months, it built up that she thought literally everyone she sees is part of this, is chasing her, is trying to stalk her. And the only person that was still kind of a beacon of trust was him, was my friend, her boyfriend, right? Because she knew him for a long time. So for some reason, it never went that far. It never went that far that he would be part of it. Now what happened is, it got worse, and my friend said, like, the last few months before the final scene I'm going to talk about in a minute, like the final thing that happened, it just felt like a different person was living with him in his house, okay? It didn't feel like it was his girlfriend anymore. It was a different person, and he said it got at times really awkward and nearly scary, right? Because it again, imagine that you have your girlfriend, you live with your wife or whatever for 10 years, and suddenly it becomes a different person, a different personality. It shifts, and you observe that shift, and you try to counter it. You talk to her, you try to talk sense into her, try to show her evidence, right? And really interesting, like he said, most of the time the evidence wouldn't reach her. It just wouldn't get through to her, which is very, very common, right? With targeted individuals, you show them clear-cut evidence that certain things, that, for example, certain technologies don't exist, they will have excuses to twist it in their favor, so it makes no sense to them again. But he said once, he kind of debunked a point she was making, and it was irrefutable. Okay, he was saying something like, I don't know, like the wall behind me is blue, and she was like, no, it's green. He's like, no, it's blue. And you take a pigment test of the wall, and it proves it's blue. And this, obviously, that wasn't the situation, but he said he raised the point. There was irrefutable nonsense that she spoke about. And in that moment, she had like this moment of clarity where she woke up nearly, and she was like, oh, yeah, you're right, that doesn't make sense. I don't know, I feel really confused recently. Okay, he told me that, and he said there was this short moment of clarity, right? Or she said something like, I think I'm going crazy, or something like that, right? About herself, like a short moment of reflection, but then she always fell back into the patterns. And part of that also is, at this point, you can't trust these people, because even she would say, oh no, I feel really good today. You don't know if she just says that to reassure you, right? Because maybe she thinks you're already part of the thing, right? And so she has to play it down. It's a massive, massive mindfuck. So it obviously took also a massive toll on my friend living with her. Now it all culminated, I think, a few days before Christmas, where, and before I get to that, actually, like it slowly faded into violence before that already, but where he said, for example, he tried to grab like a remote control that was next to her, and she bit him. Like she just came out and bit him. Like proper, that I'm not sure he was bleeding, but when you bite someone with force. So you're like, my God, man, this seems to escalate. And then 2 days before Christmas, what happened is she attacked him with a knife. And he said to me, if I would have not fought back, she's a young, skinny girl, you know what I mean? He's a big guy. And he said, if I would have not fought back, she would have killed me. She would have taken my life in that moment. And he showed me, I mean, he tried to fence off the knife. He had like a cut across his whole hand, right? Because I wasn't there, obviously, but obviously she tried to stab him, and he fought it off, bleeding. They called the police. She was then brought to a mental institute, and then, funny enough, the same night, she went to A&E, accident emergency, and they sent her to mental, and then she was let go again the same night. So imagine that. This happens to you, and then 4 hours later, your girlfriend is back at your door. She rings your door. So anyway, then he activated, a few friends of his and stuff, and now she is in a mental hospital. But I just wanted to share this with you guys because it really, it's just a different level of shocking when you hear it yourself, right? And he's a smart guy, my friend. So he tried what he can to counter this direction that she was going in, and trying to stop her from descending deeper into this madness, for lack of a better word. But he couldn't stop it. Now, turns out now she wants to visit her family. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but she is, from a different country. So she's going to go visit her mom. And turns out her mom has the same or very similar condition. Okay, so it seems to kind of run in the family. Okay, so it's just such a tragic story that really, really illustrates how wrong this can go, because obviously the people on the street were not there to stalk her. Okay, and obviously my friend was not part of any big conspiracy or had any interest in doing any harm to her. It is just such a powerful illustration of how slowly this is building up. And I'm just putting this out there. If you feel that similar tendencies are happening in your family, maybe your sister, maybe your mom, maybe your father, it could be anyone, right? It could be anyone, maybe your aunt, your uncle, someone that you know, and you notice similar tendencies, don't take it lightly. Okay, don't take it lightly. As you just heard from this story, this stuff can escalate significantly, okay? And this can go bad very, very quickly and unexpectedly, and it can cost lives, okay? I just had another comment earlier under one of these gang stalking videos that I did, where this guy said his ex-girlfriend was affected, and she started to fall into these delusions slowly but surely, and they had to take her daughter away from her, okay? Because it happened in the past. Like I just said, like she tried to kill her boyfriend. It happened in the past where victims from this illness, suffering from it, try to kill their family, their children, because they think they're just part of it, right? Or they are some kind of evil devil spawn, or whatever the narrative is that you tell yourself in your own head. You suddenly start to become a threat for those that are most close to you, that love you the most. So it is necessary that we remove children from these people. And it is necessary, if you observe similar tendencies in people that you know, that you raise these flags, call psychologists, flag it to people. These people are literally posing a risk. And if it's not that they attack you with a knife, who knows? If they're in America, they have access to firearms. They go out, they do horrible things because they think, well, now I've got to clean up with all these horrible agents that are chasing me. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill all of them. Okay, that's it. Stuff like this happened in the past where people are losing their mind over this. It is a horrible illness, okay? And I understand that I'm not going to convince anyone who's suffering from this condition with this video that they are suffering from condition instead of being a target individual. I acknowledge that now. In the past, I believed I may be able to talk some sense into some of these people, but now I think I have made my peace with that, and I don't think it is actually feasibly possible to convince someone who is suffering from paranoid schizophrenia to, just by using words and reason and maybe some evidence, to convince them that they are suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. It doesn't work. It is not how this works. So I don't think I will convince anyone to change their mind, but this is more a video for anyone who might be affected within their own circles. Okay, so it's a warning. It's a warning. And if you are one of these people, then I hope you hear the warning and you take it serious, because it's not a joke. It's a very, very serious thing. And I just want to help these people, man. I think it's horrible. And I hope that at some point, each single one of them wakes up and understands that what they experience is not the reality. Okay, it is not what is happening around them, and actually there are ways out of it. Okay, it's like, there are not many, but there are comments under these videos as well where people are saying, I was a victim of it, I was convinced I was a targeted individual, but then, at some point it reached kind of a peak, and I decided to see a psychologist, and it took 2 or 3 years until we found the right medication for me, and it was a long process and a long painful process, but now I'm living a better life. I am living a better life. I made it out of it. I'm not 100% recovered or normal, whatever you want to call normal. Okay, that's a stupid word, but you know what I mean. I'm not back to a normal life that a normal person would live, but I have gained some normality again, and I can live a normal life outside of these delusions. So there are ways out of it. And in a way, I mean, naively, I probably still hope somehow that this may be reaching a person somewhere out there that because of these videos reflects upon themselves and says, you know what, maybe I should just try to speak to a psychologist, see what these people are saying, you know, get their thoughts on it, maybe try the medication and just give getting out of this mess a chance, kind of. So that's it basically. It's a bit of a story time video, right? I normally don't do those, but I felt that I wanted to put this out there because it was relevant for the videos that I did in the past, and it's just a very shocking story. I mean, even my friend, he's seeing psychologists now, you know, because he's traumatized, man. Your girlfriend, the girl you love, tried to kill you. Dude, you know what I mean? That doesn't go past you without like leaving some scars. So he's also in some kind of treatment now, you know, trying to overcome that trauma, and it's just horrible. It's a horrible mess, and I just hope that somehow we can avoid these situations from happening in the future. So anyway, guys, bit of a different video today. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. If you did, you can smash the like button. But I am sure, as all of my other targeted individual videos, this video will get downvoted into oblivion because I have no idea what I'm talking about because I haven't looked at MK Ultra. Cool, man. All good. You guys downvoted. I mean, you can't even see the downvotes now anymore, right? But I tell you, my targeted individual videos are upon the most downvoted on my whole channel. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash like, subscribe, do all the things I would appreciate. To see you in another video. Until then, take care of yourselves, and I'm out. Bye.